So I guess this is a little bit different than usual, and I'm going to start documenting a live trade. I usually break down my trade after I do it, apart from actually in the membership. Obviously, in that case, I'm doing the live actual execution most of the time, or a daily framework. But I think it's interesting to get a perspective like this when you're trading a swing model, because scalping obviously is very easy to, literally sit there, screen record and do a scalping session, because you might be in and out of the market within, an hour. Swing trading, you're in and out of the market within weeks. So I think that this is a different sort of perspective, and that's why sometimes a little bit difficult to actually show that. So in that case, here is a trade that I am looking at getting into. Well, actually, I just executed on within the last hour. So as you can see, this is the GU chart. And I am expecting, in general, lower prices on GU. Actually, what I'll do is I'll set the camera down here. Okay, so this is what I'm really looking at. I believe that GU in the next few weeks will trade lower. So this is a daily chart. Instead of overcomplicating this whole move, I'm simply just going to take this GU with a 150 pip SL, 3.12 risk to reward, 471 pip movement. So you might be wondering, well, is that it? And the simple answer is yes, that is actually it. I believe that the weekly candle will start to flip, and I think that in the next month or two we'll get a run on lower price. Now, we have already started making lower price on the monthly, and I actually caught a big sell from October and basically this whole monthly range. So now the fact that October has concluded, it's the start of November, I do believe that after sweeping these highs and then October's monthly candle flipping even lower, the way we closed in here, I think that it all comes down to one thing: probability. Do we think that November's monthly candle is going to go higher, or do we think November's monthly candle is going to go lower? Now, if you believe it's going to go lower, then give yourself a little bit of breathing room and sell. So that's why, as long as November's monthly candle is bearish and we do not trade 150 pips, I win the trade. And it is as simple as that. I made $18,000 from this initial move, okay? So I have now risked, in general, that week I made $45,000. $18,000 was on EU, sorry, $17,000 was on EU, $18,000 was on GU, and I also took a slight loss, and then from my funded accounts, it made up the rest of the total profit. So as long as GU does not move 150 pips bullish before moving bearish, I win the trade. And it is simple as that for a swing model. With that being said, with $8,500 risk on the line, if we move a little bit higher, we create invalidation and go lower, the possibilities are endless. Because if we even do this, as long as the direction is right and we do this, we can move the SL and get another entry down here, and that makes, if the overall trade ends up being right, you can even start closing here, you can partial here or whatever, but you can remove risk and add risk very freely with a swing, which is why I've been swinging. I love swinging, and I've been doing it for a very long time. In terms of holding these moves for a very long time, is something that I've only started doing recently, and my last GU swing actually lasted 11 days. Now, with this being 400 pips, I expect that this could last even longer than that, because this move over here, as you could see, was like 200 and basically 300 pips. So we moved 300 pips last 2 weeks ago. This last week we moved a little bit less than that. So, a 500 pip move, you just have to expect that it could move or take a little bit of time to move. So that is what is going on. As I just said, I've just entered that trade just in the last hour or so. So obviously it's going to take a very long time to play out. So at the end of the day, you don't do anything as a swing trader. You're done now. Your market analysis is really everything. And you don't have to overcomplicate it, because you're either going to be wrong, and it takes a long time for you to be wrong, or you're going to be right, and it takes a long time for you to be right. However, the pro with swing trading is that as soon as I'm right, and I'm properly right, I can start changing and closing my stop loss without changing and moving too much. So I guess over the next week or two, I will be documenting what happens with this position, just so everyone can see. It is indeed the 10th of November, as you can see, 11:10 Dubai time. So you can see that this is Obviously all actually a live trade, in case anyone thinks that I'm manipulating this for some reason. I'm clearly not. So yeah, we'll see what happens with this trade, and nice to see me actually get into a live trade. Well, it's actually not the next day, but it's the next day after that. Yesterday, I didn't really make any updates because I didn't really do much apart from one thing, which we'll just go over now. So it's 2 days after the original swing position. It's now Wednesday. And as you can see, I am now up $6,700. So I ended up stacking on my swing position, which meant I added a little bit more size, as you can see over here. The reason I did that, as you'll know if you're in the membership, this first one was like a placeholder trade. I risked $8,500 on that. And on this one, when we came back into nearly break even / drawdown, I added $1,000 of risk. As you can see, $1,000 of risk over there. And then, obviously this was like a little bit more of a risky / position scaling sort of trade. Obviously it's ended up actually going my way. I've just woken up not long ago. I know it's 2 o'clock, but my head is actually killing me. Yesterday, I just went and spent time with my family, which is why I just didn't even make an update. And that's how trading is, or swing trading specifically. So as you can see, $6,800 or so. And I am also in this position on my 300K FTMO account. But this position is today's entry, which is $900 up, which is obviously nothing so far. I am also in this position on my 250K FTMO account on Euro USD, which is the same basically trade, but it's on Euro, $1,500. So that is kind of how I manage my swing positions during the week. Adding whenever I can, obviously whenever it's safe to do so. If I can't add, then I don't add. And that is the benefit of swing trading, because now I've got stuff to do in the next few hours. I'm very busy actually, but I can't, sit around and look at the charts all day. If I can add a scale in, I add a scale in, and then other times I will just be monitoring or setting alerts or something like that. So yesterday, I genuinely woke up in the morning. I was up $3,000 something on the first position, came back all the way to break even. DXY came into the weekly. I added a scale in position, which was the $1,000 risk position. It's the same lot size, which means that if I hit TP, I've actually doubled the trade, or wherever I get to, I double the trade, because they almost have the same entry. If the risky position was to lose, I would have still stayed in my placeholder trade, which is something that the mentorship guys will know what I'm talking about as well. So now we just have to continue to let this trade ride. Across all, I'm probably up around $8,000 or $9,000 already. So yeah, that's the reality of swing trading. It could maybe look really boring. I'm doing things behind the scenes. Yesterday I went to some VR thing. It was sick. But I was in the trade the whole time. And then I woke up today and we finally actually moved quite a little bit. We're like up 60, 70 pips. I still want to target, I think, at least the previous weekly low. So yeah, we'll see what happens from here. This is arguably the best part about having this car. So I just went for a haircut right now. I'm just back now. You see the whip is in pristine condition right in front of me. But when you start it, that's when it comes to life, right? Damn. Okay, that sounded fruity as hell, but yeah. So it is the end of my trading week, and yeah, I thought that this would be the best way to document it, because every trader has to go through some sort of reflection over the period of the week, especially when the week is over, but especially on weeks like this. Now, my main point is, it's so easy to be a winner, because when you're a winner, or when you have a winning week, you've got nothing to say. Like, oh, I won this week, like what else can I improve? I won. Now, The most important thing is when you have a break even or a negative week or a week where you're, mentally challenged, you actually have to reflect on your performance and if you could have done anything better, or if you maybe, and this is the important part, maybe could have not done anything better because you did everything as good as you would have in the first place. So, as you'll have seen, I was up $16,000 this week, and I ended up closing the week at only $2,000 and actually also losing 1% on my FTMO 300k scaled account and maybe 0.25% on my FTMO scaled 250k account as well. This is the game of trading. Not every week you're going to have a winning week. Now, you either have winners in life or losers in life. And this week, reflective by the numbers, I'm not a winner because I didn't win anything. But in reflective of my mindset, this is why I will always be a winner in the market, and this is what I want to condition you to becoming as well. It doesn't matter if I didn't win this week, because on this losing / break even week, I'm doing the exact same mental reflection and I have done the exact same performance as I would have in a winning week as well. If you follow me on social media, you'll have known that maybe 2 weeks ago I had a $45,000 winning week in the market. That was absolutely no different to the procedures that I followed in this losing or break even week, because I didn't really lose that much. I did the same thing. You have to realize that following the same exact framework and doing the exact same things every single week is going to either make you profitable or unprofitable. Now, where does this come from? Ultimately, this comes down to confidence. You need to believe and know that your model actually works in the first place. I know that my model works because based off of years of not just only data, but actual profitability and longevity and consistency in the market. Why did my FTMO get scaled up? It's not for no reason. 3 times as well, it's not for no reason. Why have I been making payouts for so long? It's not for no reason. So you don't then turn your back on the strategy after a week like this where you do feel a little bit mentally drained and say, what is not working? Should I change my strategy? If this is the same strategy that got me all of those landmarks and achievements, then all of a sudden on a week where, no, I didn't make $45,000, does that mean that I just abandon absolutely everything that I know? It comes down to knowing that you are that trader that you say you are. That's what I want you guys to always remember. Now, it's very easy after a week like this. So many people have to always challenge themselves and say, well, should I have closed then? You were up $16,000, should you not close then? Now, ask yourself the same thing. If I had closed at $16,000 this week, even though it hadn't hit the target that I was actually aiming for, then why did I have a $45,000 week? Because on that $45,000 week, I could have said the exact same thing and closed at $5,000 when price retraced on me. Then I wouldn't have had a $45,000 week. So you can't pick and choose. It's like the same thing when people have a losing trade and they say, oh, I could have closed that break even. Well, you also could have closed that break even on your winning trades. So people have this really hindsight mindset after a week like this and say, well, could I have done this? You couldn't have done anything. And the faster you accept that, the faster you'll actually be profitable. That's what people don't understand about this game. You have to take these weeks on the chin. And to me, this is, I'm not going to say, oh yeah, it's nothing important to me. Now, I've had these weeks so many times. I wanted to speak about this at the start of September, I believe, or maybe it was August, but I think it was the start of September. I had a 3 losing streak. Now, that obviously psychologically affected me slightly. Now, it might not have affected me, or it didn't affect me near as much as it would have affected me a few years ago. However, I still have that thought that, damn, it's not been a good few weeks, because I don't usually have losing streaks that often. And I'm not saying that to make people on the internet think I'm the best trader ever. It's statistically a lot lower of a chance for me to have a lower period of a losing streak because I trade a higher time frame model and I trade low risk to reward. So mathematically, it doesn't take me that long to bounce back. So one of the reasons when people ask, why do I trade such a low risk to reward, is because my losing streaks mathematically are going to last a lot of a shorter period of time. if I have a low risk to reward and I'm going for like 1 to 2s, for example, sometimes even a bit less, 1.7, 1.6, but most of the time I'm averaging around 2 risk to reward and sometimes 2.2, 2.3. Now, mathematically, that's already quite a low risk to reward, but then when you pair it with the higher time frame, which is also easier to predict, also easier to change things, also easier to manage your risk and manage your positions and understand when and where you may be wrong, also easier to get in line, and you add these both together, then it makes the win rate even higher, and mathematically you're going to bounce out of losing periods a lot faster, because if I lose a trade, let's say on the hourly or something like that, and then the next trade I take is on the 4 hour, it's just mathematically, my whole weekly bias is usually having to be completely wrong for me to actually lose that trade. So that's why, like, if I take a loss, usually my next trade is going to be a win. And if I take 2 losses, usually my third trade will be a win. And so on. If I take 3 losses, usually my 4th trade will be a win. So I don't expect myself to have long periods of losing. And that is why I have the confidence day in, day out to always trade my strategy, although obviously it doesn't appear all the time, because at the end of the day, it is a higher time frame model. So at the start of September, I had a 3 losing period. And I remember thinking to myself, damn, it's been quite, a rough period. But the whole year before this, I've been consistently profitable. So I have to tell myself, if I have been consistently profitable the whole year, am I not going to achieve that again? By the end of September, I had multiple payouts lined up again. And you're like a goldfish. I said this in the mentorship again yesterday. You're like a goldfish because you actually forgot how you were feeling when you had a losing streak. That's what's always important to remember, that you have to have an abundant mindset in the market, that when you're having a losing period, just know in the back of your head, you are that guy. You are that guy that passed all these evals that you did. You are that guy that's been getting these consistent payouts. And if you've not, then you will become that guy. So just because this last week has been difficult for you, are you never going to get a winning trade again? And please think abundantly, because remember, start of September, 3 losing streak, ended September, multiple payouts. I forgot that almost happened. But in that time, it's very, very easy to think that I'm never going to have a winning trade ever again in my life. That's how it feels. I'm unemployed. Let me just go on the job market and search for a job right now. You have to always remember the same trades that took you there are also the same trades that, over a period of time, the distribution of probabilities and the sequence of probabilities, sometimes it's going to be 3 losses in a row, sometimes it's going to be 3 wins in a row, 5 wins in a row. You just have to always remember that at some point it's going to level out and your equity curve will slowly go up if you actually are a profitable trader. Now, the main thing and the thing that I want to leave you off with is, if there's ever a trade and there's ever a scenario where you've missed it, or you've had a losing streak and you just think to yourself, I'm never going to win again. Or maybe you missed a winning setup. Oh, I should have taken that. It's never going to come again. You have to deep this, and it comes down to one thing. If you truly believe that, then you're not a good trader anyway. Because you should know in the back of your heart, in the back of your head, that if I am actually as good as I say I am and as good as I think I am, I will always get another, even better, or an opportunity exactly the same again and again and again. And if you don't, then you truly don't know what you're doing anyway, and you have to go back to the drawing board. If you know deep in your heart and deep in your head and from the statistics that I'm definitely going to get another setup again in the next few days or next week or in the next 2 weeks, and I definitely will climb out of drawdown, and you know that logically most of you already have that, then why should you change anything? So that is the lesson. Although I've had a mediocre week this week, it's exactly the same as my winning weeks, and that is exactly how you stay level-headed and you approach every single week the same. Doesn't matter what the monetary gain is, because from 1 week of trading, I know that I should end nearly every month, if not every month, green. Because 1 day or 1 week does not reflect how the end of the month will play. And I've noticed that from every single month of 2025, I have been profitable and made multiple payouts. And there have been multiple weeks in 2025 where I did not make a winning trade, or I even ended the week negative. But it slowly levels out over time if you are that guy that you say you are, and you always have to think like that.